Me mo bi akwaba eba Melodies TV so. I am seriously going to admit. I am not going to sit here and lie. Mama Moati asye se asem aba no kware wa asem ni mu no. Eno na me Melodies meka. Me kai se emra NPP for lose elections a wo mo ka se omo koma Professor Michael Oquaye. I report amom no mu who the reason why they lost. I came here and I said so for me they are not going to know the truth because Professor Michael Oquaye will know the truth, but he will not be able to tell them because NPP for no, as we've seen them to become no, omo yankrophobia. Say omo akwa yes say omo person be come ho no kware omo person be kan no kware no atre omo. That is what I said. Yesterday, Professor Michael Oquaye did an interview with Joy News. Na no kware ni nyame anim ni I was impressed. I was impressed because I felt say as obia oye NPP ni no nanka obekọ the normal NPP route, especially with the Chief Justice in Sensem no eso. But Professor Michael Oquaye decided not to do that. And so my respect for him no akosro. At this point I'm going to say Matthias here the reason why NPP chose him say omonye omo defeat report no emomo. Utie endra Professor Michael Oquaye nsemo kan wo Join News sir. Or say, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. The removal of the Chief Justice. Naturally say, Chief Justice a ye no. NPP for esun no. Ye bisa Professor Michael Oquaye say, NPP for take on the removal of the Chief Justice no any. Again no work afa ho. Or say, oh, say that same article no. Ye de yin krofo wo krom ha. So what is good for the goose is good for the gander. It is ye die you bi na ende atu Chief Justice ne de ye na. Ono de ohun say boni bi enim. And I was shocked. I was like, "Hey, Professor Michael Oquaye betumi akasa sa." Yen kinkan. I say a former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Oquaye, has taken a swipe at Ghanaians who are criticizing the ongoing processes on petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. Speaking in an interview on Joy News' The Pulse on May 8th, 2025, Professor Oquaye pointed out that even though he has issues with the processes outlined in the 1992 Constitution for the removal of the Chief Justice, which he has expressed in the past, those crying now did not complain about it when they were in power. Into what Professor Michael Oquaye said, I say one no dear no quarry, and indeed, it is true because social Professor Michael Oquaye say Ghana at 50. Say Ghana at 50 or lecture bi now all those times ni na no de na de bia o tai ekasa efasa processes ne ho. What I say, so he has maintained his stance on that processor. De bia no cancel one no de he has a problem with the process. He has a problem onye and then or share say work as asem no. But ono ne party ba ben mo mfi no. Into o see emra na ne nkrofo wa ben mo NPP for wa ben mu no. Omo the same process yi edi nkrofo. Na ende wo mo afi aban mu na ye di Chief Justice ade ntia na wo musu. That is what Professor Michael Oquaye said. I see, which he has expressed in the past. Those crying now did not complain about it when they were in power. Omo ende wo musu NPP for na mbra no mo 8 years. They didn't complain about that process. That same process no mo di yi Charlotte say. And then the ntia na wo musu. He said that he has written extensively about the issues he has with the process for over a decade, asserting that persons who were okay with the law when they were in power should not be complaining about it now. It is 10 years ago, they be no the otro and semfa adie we mumi eheni yo adie we nti omo ende wo musu ne de wonti omo ase. I say, why is it that Ghanaians have watched this being their law for so long? And some people who today are criticizing the system said nothing. They did not speak about this. When I was mounting the IEA Constitutional Review series, I wrote on all these things. It is published in my contribution to the University of Ghana Alumni Lecture, which I gave at the Jubilee time at the Great Hall in Legon. 10 years ago, I had written on this. Why do we allow such things to happen? And then we cry foul when it appears as if a particular best person is going to suffer and this is what I personally don't like. So you know the personally I dey NPP for you know ompe mo atena se ahwe e ma de ne kra mo de edi nkrofo and that there as a so mu nipa ne de musu. And the fact that Professor Michael Oquaye sort of is acting as a nationalist, he's not mentioning names, not saying say oh my NPP party, but someone can say those who are crying today, not just Afenyo Markin and nkrofo. He added, let us talk by the principle of it. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Everybody, that is important. The Professor Michael Oquaye, NPP for ende. Professor Michael Oquaye na mode ne ye mo report. Na mo ye nkrofo a mo bu mo ho pan na ka Professor Michael Oquaye yes a interview we ye no. Na ka mo agyae say mo ko ama the suspended Chief Justice. Because Professor Michael Oquaye wa tre mo nyansa wa ma mo ehu say NPP for mo am wo ho ni na because ende mo party na mo pese mo rebuild no e based on Professor Michael Oquaye ne report. It is a sabi mo ehu say wo oye nyansani na mo party no mo pese mo rebuild na mo pese mo use wo no Professor Michael Oquaye ne report say dey build mo party ne dia and there wo kan nyansa se mo akere mo say esu na mo usu no munya esu na aba na ye de botechi ne na ye de boba ono de ne principle no yen konko botechi na munye ko ma yen hwese ye botechi ne ye de the same aba na ba be boba de a o se ba de ye mpene ma yen fa mbo no Professor Michael Oquaye say de wo chin woni wiase mu e na mo NPP for mo ye no. I say Professor Oquaye, who was the Speaker of Ghana's 7th Parliament, pointed out that one of the issues he has with the law on the removal of Chief Justice was the composition of the committee which the president is supposed to set up to probe the petitions. So you pick any 2 Supreme Court judges, then you can also pick 3 other civilians who are not judges, not lawyers, and so on, that you think can do justice or go into the matter. The 5 go and sit. Judgment is by majority. So the 2 Supreme Court judges will say yes, and the 3 civilians, ordinary people, say no. That 3 must hold, right? Because it is a majority. And then thereafter, there is no appeal. The matter is closed. If it were you, would you like to appear before such a court? It is ridiculous. I don't believe anybody is there in our law. Let me just finish this, he said. It's Professor Michael Oquaye has spoken. Or not there. And listen, I like the fact that he's making it known, say, the whole article, the whole constitution, sa article, na sa side, no the ompe. Then I will share say when the NPP were using it against Charlotte say no. Just that Professor Michael Oquaye, we didn't hear him speak against it back then. Because at that time, no a Speaker of Parliament. So we didn't hear him speak against it. Because Nana Bain also. But proud to say Nana Bain Ebasono, he has constantly spoken against our constitution now what say how it is carried out no onu ne ninje ho ansa na NPP Ekufuado beba aban mu no de bia woka but Ekufuado ba ya no de di Charlotte say no onu ye kom wankasa de but ene that same constitution ache NPP for no eyobi wo ye nya atwumni ti se ne Afenyo Markin mu ne gofreda memo ye na Nakadi ni bako ne beye ne se ane die mahama aye na enye dabi ba Professor Michael Oquaye nsem o kan se wono de wakase tia sa ade we de dada nanso ni NPP fo ende wo musu no emra wo mo ba ye no musu dudi obi nti ende su na wo musu no de ntia no musu ompelo ne de nanso ontumi nkonko side with ni NPP fo and sa ade we ya Professor Michael Oquaye wa ye no me say my respect for him akosro I saw up. Inti NPP foi. Sabe, sani amekan na mesanso aka biom. Se mo wo muhu ne se Professor Michael Oquaye sabe Nyankopon ehira no, nyansa da ne trim. Wo no ne nyansa ne nde mu yusu e de abuild mo party na. Ende mu ntie Professor Michael Oquaye ne nyansa na sa nyansa na Nyankopon de ehira no no. Eno a ne nde wo sanso de kasa wo tre se de mo ye no entwa ye munya isu na mu usu no. And then all of a sudden, na be namha, ni namha, na Chief Justice, ni Oquaye, ne, only that Chief Justice demonstration, muye ma, Chief Justice, ne grananke yemo say, muye sa demonstration, we are Kagana for better muchi. Muye demonstration, the next day na assembly wuye. Demonstration, muye ya the next day, and assembly wuye. Afenyo Markin nsem ne babe trende, unim nintia. Me say, the Chief Justice no krano, the suspended Chief Justice, embra na wo ye Chief Justice no, wa mwane ho. Mo emra na President Akufo-Addo Daniel Dom level. Ghana for sorry ya no mo kwama Daniel Dom level no. Gintia because emra na woye auditor general no. Oye adwuma ma Ghana for ni ehu se papa yi wo ye adwuma ma oman no. Mo Chief Justice ye na ye hu case anu odi wa Ghana ha. She didn't help herself. Inti na mo ye demonstration ne kra no. The next day na assembly wu ye, people didn't carry it along. And there will see criminal kokobisa Ghana for say Chief Justice na ye no muni agya. Ghana for out of 10, 7 Ebeka Trust or more the Chief Justice no Oquaye wonko. No one is fighting for her. Why? Because Embra now this was the Chief Justice. Ghana for whom decisions I will make here. Ghana for whom the course Supreme Court. Intino Professor Michael Oquaye waka NPP for mubesu amunsu Afenyo Markin ubesu asu. Muntre mwaji wa comment box ni mumeda se.